Proverbs chapter 6, verse 1. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, if you have shaken hands in pledge for a stranger. Verse 2. You have been trapped by what you said, ensnared by the words of your mouth. Verse 3. So do this, my son, to free yourself. Since you have fallen into your neighbor's hand, go to the point of exhaustion and give your neighbors no rest. Verse 4. Allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. Verse 5. Free yourself like a gazelle from the hands of the hunter, like a bird from the snare of the fowler. Verse 6. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise. Verse 7. It has no commander, no overseer or ruler. Verse 8. Yet it stores its provisions in summer and gathers its food at harvest. Verse 9. How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? Verse 10. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Verse 11. And poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man. Verse 12. A troublemaker and a villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth. Verse 13. Who winks maliciously with his eyes, signals with his feet, and motions with his fingers. Verse 14. Who plots evil with deceit in his heart, he always stirs up conflict. Verse 15. Therefore, disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. Verse 16. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Verse 17. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. Verse 18. A heart that devises wicked scheme, feet that are quick to rush into evil. Verse 19. A false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Verse 20. My son, keep your father's command and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Verse 21. Bind them always on your heart, fasten them around your neck. Verse 22. When you walk, they will guide you. When you sleep, they will watch over you. When you awake, they will speak to you. Verse 23. For this command is a lamp, this teaching is a light, and corrections and instructions are the way to life. Verse 24. Keeping you from your neighbor's wife, from the smooth talk of a wayward woman. Verse 25. Do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes. Verse 26. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread, but another man's wife preys on your. Verse 26. For a prostitute can be had for a loaf of bread, but another man's wife preys on your very life. Verse 27. Can a man scoop fire into his lap without his clothes being burned? Verse 28. Can a man walk on hot coals without his feet being scorched? Verse 29. So is he who sleeps with another man's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Verse 30. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his hunger when he is starving. Verse 31. Yet if he is caught, he must pay 7-fold, though it costs him all the wealth of his house. Verse 32. But a man who commits adultery has no sense, whoever so destroys himself. Verse 33. Blows and disgrace are his lot, and his shames will never be wiped away. Verse 34. For jealousy arouses a husband fury, and he will shew no mercy when he takes revenge. Verse 35. He will not accept any compensation. He will refuse a bribe, however great it is. Proverbs chapter 7, verse 1. My son, keep my words and store up my commands within you. Verse 2. Keep my commands and you will live. Guard my teaching as the apple of your eye. Verse 3. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Verse 4. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and to insight, you are my relative. Verse 5. They will keep you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with her seductive words. Verse 6. At the window of my house, I looked down through the lattice. Verse 7. I saw among the simple, I noticed among the young men, a youth who have no sense. Verse 8. He was going down the street near her corner, walking along in the direction of her house. Verse 9. At twilight, as the day was fading, as the dark of night set in. Verse 10. Then out came a woman to meet him, dressed like a prostitute and with crafty intent. Verse 11. She is unruly and defiant. Her feet never stay at home. Verse 12. Now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks. Verse 13. She took hold of him and kissed him, and with a brazen face she said. Verse 14. Today I fulfilled my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. Verse 15. So I came out to meet you. I looked for you and have found you. Verse 16. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. Verse 17. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Verse 18. Come, let's drink deeply with love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. Verse 19. My husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. Verse 20. He took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. Verse 21. With persuasive words she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. Verse 22. All at once he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose. Verse 23. Till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it will cost him his life. Verse 24. Now then, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to what I say. Verse 25. Do not let your heart turn to her ways or stray into her paths. Verse 26. Many are the victims she has brought down. Her slain are a mighty strong. Verse 27. Her house is a highway to the grave, leading down to the chambers of death. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 1. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? Verse 2. At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Verse 3. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance, she cries aloud. Verse 4. To you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. Verse 5. You who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. Verse 6. Listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. Verse 7. My mouth speak what is true, for my lips detest wickedness. Verse 8. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. Verse 9. To the discerning, all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. Verse 10. Choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice of gold. Verse 11. For wisdom is more precious than rubbish, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Verse 12. I, wisdom, dwell together with prudence. I possess knowledge and discretion. Verse 13. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Verse 14. Counsel and sound judgment are mine. I have insight. I have power. Verse 15. By me kings reign and rulers issue decrees that are just. Verse 16. By me princes govern, and nobles, all who rule on earth. Verse 17. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. Verse 18. With me are riches and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity. Verse 19. My fruit is better than fine gold. What I yield surpasses choice silver. Verse 20. I walk in the way of righteousness, along the paths of justice. Verse 21. Bestowing a rich inheritance on those who love me, and making their treasuries full. Verse 22. The Lord brought me forth as the first of his works, before his deeds of old. Verse 23. I was formed long ages ago, and the very beginning, then the words came to be. Verse 24. When there were no watery deeps, I was given birth, when there were no spring overflowing with water. Verse 25. Before the mountains were settled in place, before the hills I was given birth. Verse 26. Before he made the world, or its field, or any of the dust of the earth. Verse 27. I was there when he set the heavens in place, when he marked out the horizons on the face of the deep. Verse 28. When he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep. Verse 29. When he gave the sea its boundary, so the waters would not overstep his command, and when he marked out of the foundations of the earth. Verse 30. When I was constantly at his side, I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence. Verse 31. Rejoicing in his whole word and delighting in mankind. Verse 32. Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Verse 33. Listen to my instructions and be wise. Do not disregard it. Verse 34. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. Verse 35. For those who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord. Verse 36. But those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1. Wisdom has built her house. She has set up its 7 pillars. Verse 2. She has prepared her meat and makes her wine. She has also set her table. Verse 3. She has sent out her servants, and she calls from the highest point of the city. Verse 4. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says. Verse 5. Come, eat my food and drink the wine I have mixed. Verse 6. Live your simple ways and you will live. Walk in the way of insight. Verse 7. Whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. Verse 8. Do not rebuke mockers or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise and they will love you. Verse 9. In Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning. Verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Verse 11. For through wisdom your days will be many, and years will be added to your life. Verse 12. If you are wise, your wisdom will reward you. If you are a mocker, you alone will suffer. Verse 13. Folly is an unruly woman. She is simple and knows nothing. Verse 14. She sits at the door of her house, on a seat at the highest point of the city. Verse 15. Calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Verse 16. Let all our simple come to my house, to those who have no sense, she says. Verse 17. Stolen water is sweet. Food eaten in secret is delicious. Verse 18. But little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead.